Yeah, Argentina. So imagine you're a business owner and you're like, you know what? I don't want to stay on the sidelines of AI anymore. I want to do something about it. I'm going to talk to one of these companies that's trying to sell me AI automation services and go. I'm going to do this. And then you talk to them. I'm going to tell you how they price, how they think about pricing, and what you should think about pricing. And the way I'm going to go about this is just by talking to you transparently about how I think about it. Okay, so first of all, if a AI automation company comes to you and they say, "We have this ready-made thing for you. You drop it in, and it's AI automation." At the moment, that cannot be true. They do not have that. If they have something that's ready to go, that is classic SaaS, maybe with some AI features, but it is not full on business automation. That requires customization, like significant customization for every company that you implement it for. It's okay. Like, what is okay is if they say they have an approach or they have a system that they use. In that case, it means they haven't built out something totally custom ready to go for your company, but they've been around the block and they know what they're doing. Okay, so then the next thing is, how much should this cost? Well, let me tell you a story of something that happened just the other day to us. We are working with this logistics company, by the way, that we almost bought. We were looking at buying a logistics company to maybe pivot away from software implementation services. I'm not going to get into why we didn't buy it. It was mutually respected decision to walk away. But we thought maybe we can still work together. And they had a thing where they wanted to automate one small piece of one person's job that has to do with creating commercial invoices uh, based on like a giant data set that comes in. So we listened and we got all the requirements recorded, like in a meeting, and we asked them to send over a couple example documents, show us the data that comes in, show us the commercial invoices that go out, and you know, logistics is funny because there may be a pile of stuff that needs to be sent overseas, and that pile of stuff may go in multiple containers on a boat, uh, and each container might contain stuff that goes to various different countries. Well, each different country that things go to has to have its own commercial invoice for importing into the country, um, even though like there may be multiple orders within that one country. It just needs one single commercial invoice in order to enter the country. So like you just have this data of goods that are going from one place to another, and they get sliced and diced either by the container or by the country that they're going into. So anyway, this is what we're contending with. And that was like a few days ago. And then yesterday, my guy Fede, one of our developers, says, "Oh, hey, I built a prototype of that shipping automation." And he pulls it up and he's like, "Yeah, see, you can just drop a CSV in here. I used one of the ones that they gave us. And then right out here comes the commercial invoices. See, there they are." I was like, "We haven't even gotten paid for this at all yet." And yet it's like a pretty good looking software program that he's got. So should this just be like, "Oh, here you go, it's on us"? No. But man, how do we bill for this? Well, first of all, know that that thing that he made is not ready to go. We can't just hand it to them and say, "Good luck." Um, there's going to be problems when we have different types of data that we haven't seen before. There's going to be a lot of work around getting it so that it works on his machine to getting it into the cloud. There's going to be some training. There's going to be some decision making. All these things in order to make it ready to go for production. And those things have always been the case. We always had to do that. But it used to also be the case that it took so long to write the software that we could kind of package that all together in um, one big project bid. Like, and even though we don't know how long it's going to take to, how many data issues we're going to come up with exactly, how many decisions are going to get made, whether the client's going to be easy or difficult to work with, like we don't know any of that. We only know uh, kind of about how long it's going to take to actually write the software. Well, that's changed drastically, but the other stuff stays unknown. So all that's happened is that the known part got shorter, but the unknown parts stayed unknown. The other thing we do know is how much it costs us to keep somebody on the payroll. So we have to make sure we cover that. Otherwise, we have a business model that doesn't work. our business is selling the time of these software developers. If we can't cover their time, we still have to pay them. So we have to make sure to charge at least enough to do that. If the value is not worth it, like imagine we just, in order to keep somebody on the payroll, we just have to charge 10x what it takes to get the job done. That's not fair, and we're going to get outcompeted immediately. Like that's not survivable. So I made this graph. Let's take a look at it. For this small piece of what we're proposing to automate, this creation of commercial invoices from this data CSV, we imagine that the person who's manually moving that data around right now is spending, let's say, an hour a day. So that ends up being, depending on whether that person costs $50 to $100 an hour, that ends up being $3,000 to $6,000 a year. So that means that if we charge more than $6,000 a year, automatically it's more expensive to do that with us than to just keep paying the person for a year. But if we stretch it like this graph does over 5 years, then we can see over 5 years that might cost the business $35,000. And after the first year, this goes up. I'll get into why this goes up in a minute. But after the first year, we should start breaking even, as long as we don't have to continue to work on this automation significantly month over month. The other thing is, I'm arguing that if you replace a mundane manual task of somebody, that person's time should be refocused towards revenue generating work. If there is no revenue generating work for that person to do with that time, then you need a different person or automate something else. It doesn't make sense to just automate away boring labor with nothing better for those people to do. That is like reducing your bottom line, but there's not a lot of leverage in that. Do better. Come on, be creative. Think of something for these people to do that suddenly don't have to copy paste stuff out of one spreadsheet and put it in somewhere else. Hire people that have some idea of what your business could do to make more revenue and can help toward that goal. So that's why I have here the line go up if the person has more time to not do mundane stuff. So that's kind of how I look at this, and it's definitely a part of the conversation I want to have. With this, we can charge essentially, so we would be charging our kind of $80 an hour for this person's work, and we're imagining how many hours they spend on it, and we're recovering a lot of time for this company and hopefully freeing them up to do revenue generating work. And there's a bit of the thing that I don't know is, I'm just guessing at how much time is going to be spent fixing bad data or making decisions or training or going and updating libraries. I'm just guessing that initially, even if we can get a prototype in there right away that only takes a week, that we'll probably burn at least another 40 hours or so on this particular automation, just dealing with random weird data and making it more bulletproof. And that comes from my own experience building with AI and just realizing that it's almost like a sculpting process. You can make something very, very quickly, then you start using it and you're like, oh, it needs to do this. Oh, this dashboard needs that data. Oh, this process isn't quite what I wanted it to be. And you just keep sculpting until it is what you want. And then you can kind of back away from it and be like, okay, any more time spent on this is marginally helpful, so I'm going to stop spending time on it. And that's also the way we approach this. Sculpt the automation that you build until it's it doesn't make more sense to do this anymore. So hopefully that helps. It's very, very difficult in my shoes as somebody who has to keep people on the payroll and who sees things almost magically get created in a few hours that used to take weeks, months even, to price this stuff. But hopefully that helps you know how I think about it.